Hello folks, welcome to the Poly Champions YouTube. This is part 1 of a 3v3 pro game played before Path of the Ocean. That means battleships, custom houses, and whales. You'll see unorthodox openings, teammates taking their allies' cities, tridents coming to the rescue, Gaami pushes, and some very questionable explorers. Okay, let's watch the replay. Hello, I'm eSpark. I'm the leader of the Arctic Wolves and a junior on the Huskies. And with me today is Ferrickster.
Hi, I'm Ferrickster. I'm a pro playing on Team Dragons. I'm currently one of the top 10 pros in the league, and I'm here to show you and talk you through some of the strategic things that we did in a 3v3. It played in Season 15.
All right. And you were playing against Lightning, right?
This is an archipelago game played on 400, and it was played on version 97, which I guess is the same as V98. This is the pre-Path of the Ocean update.
Yes.
So back when we had ships and battleships and boats, as opposed to bombers, rammers, rafts.
So let's see how it goes.
Spawning up in the northeast sector, we have player 1 who is playing as Polaris. That is going to be Just Luck. Down here in the south, this is me, Ferrickster, spawning as Cuckoo. I open this game by doing a thing that everyone tells me is wrong, but I do it anyway because I'm better than them and they don't know what they're doing, so it's fine. I'm using a T0 tribe, but I like to open T0 warrior as opposed to going T0 upgrade and workshop.
Wait a minute. You didn't get a workshop?
I mean, I've done it before. I do it sometimes. But depending on the map and the layout of my first base and the indicators, frequently I'll go for a T0 warrior.
Wow, that is unorthodox.
It is, but so my thinking is that I'm trying to go for consistency because my goal in every game is to just survive the early game, survive the mid game, make it into the late game, and then start pushing people back from there using really good micro and like solid strategy. So when I open T0 warrior, if my first warrior dead ends somewhere, especially on like a map like Archie, it's not as bad because my warrior 2 is going to find a base fast enough to like still kind of keep me in the game. So it's more just, it's a safety play that I do.
Yeah, you're a rebel. Nobody knows
yes. That. Yeah, spawning in the northwest, spawning as Yadakk, we've got Magoon, who's on my team. Spawning in the center of the map, which is a huge positional advantage, but it's fine. It is what it is. This was Doc Flame, also spawning as Cuckoo. They go for a pretty typical T0 upgrade. Boring, boo, but it is what it is. It's okay.
It's very traditional.
It's very traditional. Yeah, spawning in the west corner as Aquarian. We've got Badger. This is Astu spawning as, looks like Imo. Yeah, Imo in the southeast. Yep. So from the beginning of the game, we felt kind of disadvantaged. My warrior 1 did end up dead ending here, going the wrong way. Like I picked a fruit to go to and just, got unlucky. That was the wrong one. There were also no shorelines in V97, 98.
Correct.
So we didn't have the information as to where land is that we see here.
Right. So this is an artifact of the current version. You can see shorelines, but at the time when you were playing, there was no shorelines. Yeah. Got it. So now you get your workshop.
Yes. So everyone kind of just expanding, looking for their first village.
Yep.
Polaris capturing. I find 2 villages with my 2 warriors on T2.
So everybody's just exploring, looking for villages now. Oh, Polaris upgrades with 2 outposts, right?
Yes, 2 outposts. They get an explorer, which like, I don't know why you would get an explorer as Polaris on Archie. Like it's likely to get dead-ended because you don't have any way of letting it traverse over the water. So I go into my 2 villages.
Yeah.
Continue expanding. Got to point out that that Yadakk had also kind of dead-ended back there, not finding anything with his warrior too. We have another explorer from Lightning.
Okay, this makes a little more sense, right? Because he has the fishing tech.
Yeah,
so yeah.
He has fishing tech, so he's actually able to get something done. He finds me, finds his ally. My ally here, Aquarian, which still, I guess, suffers from a lack of parallel resources.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a struggle to upgrade. We ended up going fishing first. So it's going to be expensive, but I'm sure we'll be fine.
But that's how Aquarian rolls. We know how that goes.
Yeah. It never feels good at the time, though. So Polaris gets kind of a bad ruin. Like, you really don't need a sword here. A little bit less tech, but they are still able to macro up their base, get themselves a workshop. I get sailing and then double capture. Going mass workshop as opposed to explorers because I don't gamble because I lose. My ally McGoon's warrior down here still just dead ends again. Just it has gotten nothing done at all. So all of Goon's expansion has been from his other warrior, but there was nowhere else for him really to go. It's not like we went the wrong way. It's just there was only one direction that was going to end up working. So it is what it is. At least he'll get 3 bases. That's probably plenty. I mean, how many bases do you really need?
All the bases.
All is better than few. Yeah.
So what was your main strategy?
So
just get on the water fast?
I mean, early on in this game, just based on our overall positions, right, of being like northwest, west, and south, I was figuring we would kind of, just expand towards the center, try to converge and take the center, because then you end up with like 1, 2, 3, 4, like you get roughly half the map if we can get the center. And it wasn't until turn 4 that we discovered this territory here, which means that one of our opponents spawned in the middle of the map.
In the middle.
So that means that if they're in the middle of the map and they also have all of these outskirts, they're going to have like 5/9 of the map. So already I'm feeling like we're a little bit disadvantaged. And also after my first warrior dead-ended, was able to recover, but we have not gotten bases as fast as we could. And our one player who was getting bases at a reasonable speed was Aquarian, who macros up very, very slowly.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
At this point in the game, by T5, we were feeling not amazing. But I'm like optimistic / stubborn, so I was like, it's fine. We'll be fine.
And your opponent, so Imo meets their ally Kiku, and they are also, it looks like, going to get an explorer.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting base, this middle base here. That's going to be the most pivotal base that this game is going to rotate around. He gets a very good explorer, so both of my nearby opponents have very good vision of me.
Yeah.
Which is, like, fine. I don't see anything because I didn't take any explorers because I just don't trust them. So I'm playing a little bit in the dark here as compared to our opponents. I do get a star ruin here on T6, which helps me get my macro up, which kind of makes up for the loss of like speed that I picked at my base. It gets me a pair of level 3 stars upgrades, and I'm able to workshop my other base. If I didn't get those stars, I would have been like 3 SPT behind.
Yeah, and this, watching this reminds me, the old games. Look, there's whales. I remember the good old days when we had whales.
Whales, yeah. So here we have our first, opponent discovery. This whole time, by the way, we were looking at this and thinking there's a very good chance that this is Imo because this is Imo's color. But in fact, this is just Cuckoo masquerading as Imo because I was Cuckoo. Because I'm looking here and this is like the Quetzali color. Yes. And so we have an Imo and we have a Quetzali color. We were like, well, most likely the Quetzali, would be Cuckoo because...
Yeah,
because the Imo would have been Imo.
I get it.
Here on... So, all right, I'm going to remove fog for a second.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So here my opponent has these 2 bases that they connected and upgraded with 2 ports. And one of the things that I was able to see from my vision was this port path traveling out here. So recognizing that there's a port path here and that you usually don't end up with excess population, I was like, well, if I can if I can border growth this base this turn, it will cut that off and end up removing a population from each of those bases. So now he has 2 bases. He
I like that.
loses 2 stars per turn because of that BG play. So here Yadakk finally discovers where Polaris is. We see that they got 1 sword ruin. So that's at least kind of reassuring in some ways, because at least it's 1 less, tech that they would have.
Mm-hmm.
We get another explorer. Reveals like a decent amount of everything of ours. So they have they have very complete vision of us right now.
Yeah.
We have gotten like no explorers because I don't trust them. So I'm always steering my teammates away. Be like, no,
someone's
don't even
on fire. Who is that? They're Kiku. What?
Yes. So
can you zoom in? What's that?
This base here, which I said is going to be pivotal. So IMO put their monument here on the north tile. And then their Kiku is going to take this base over.
Oh. Wait. This is an ally eating an ally's city. Ooh, we don't see this very often, but in team games, this is a legit strategy where one teammate says, come take my city. It's more useful to the ally, right?
Yes, that does happen a decent amount in team games. Dragons does it very rarely because I'm always there telling them no. So as much as it might be useful to turn over one base to another player, if that base is getting sieged, when you capture it, you don't get income on the turn you capture. So your base is losing 1 round of production and 2 rounds of income. So it costs like 6 stars plus production to turn over a base, but some players and some teams will value trading the base over more often. So we actually try to prevent this. Like our Aquarian goes in. I'm going to turn the fog off for a second. They went in to get vision of what was going on in this burning so that we could see the terrain tiles around this to determine whether or not I would be able to get a unit over there to unsiege that base, because then they siege themselves for no reason. Like they would have lost some stars in production, and it wouldn't have changed anything for them. But it was determined that I could not reach, so I just had to let the base be turned over. So back to Polaris, who's starting to get their macro up there at 16 stars per turn. And they get their first Gaami here on T8, which is a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot considering they also have 2 swordsmen and then they didn't get, stars or something else from the ruins. That's pretty decent.
They're going for a very, I'm on 14 stars per turn. I've been trying to macro as much as I can, but they're already on 19 now.
Wow.
So Magoon gets stars. We go for sailing and trade because looking at what we see of Polaris, which isn't that much, but we see their Park of Fortune, which indicates that they've gotten their first Gaami. So we know that Polaris's mid-game push, which is when Polaris is strongest, in my opinion, we know that that's coming. Yes. So in order to survive that and to deal with all of our units getting frozen, we're probably going to need some ranged units, and we're going to need to be able to move around. So we decide to go for ports, and since I'm confident that Goon is going to get sieged a lot, we're going to go for custom houses, because at least when he's sieged, even though he's sieged, he'll still be able to get some income. And I'm hoping that our Aquarion is going to do most of the unsieging for him to keep him alive.
But custom houses in Wales, man. This is the good old days.
It is. So Kiku in the center continues to macro. They are on 4 bases.
Yeah, and Kiku's putting defenders in boats, because that's a great way to add more hit points to your naval units. Yes. Oh, there's a piece.
Yeah. So this is the first peace treaty that gets sent from Kiku to IMO. Here's another explorer from Lightning that I don't necessarily agree with, right? This one comes from the base. Yeah, this one comes from the base. So he captures, upgrades, and then instead of going for a workshop, he goes for an explorer. And this doesn't make that much sense to me. They know where we are. So the only information that the only thing that they're trying to get from this, I have to assume, is to try to get a meeting for IMO to try to meet with Polaris and get them meeting stars. And they do get it.
Yeah. The explorer was questionable.
Okay, here we go. And an explorer again. From
Another explorer. Oh, and I should just mention that it is a Poly Champions rule that in 3v3 games, you are not allowed to have embassies. So I think in other scenarios, people might be thinking, oh, you can meet, right? Then you can do peace and you can get an embassy, but no embassies allowed in this league game.
Yeah, the technology is here, but yeah, there are no embassies allowed in 3v3. That's right. How did these two end up in the red? Oh. How did these two end up in the red? Oh, because our player broke the. It was another
Let's
one
go
of those
back and see that. So Yadakk broke the ice. This is just like you expanding with border growth to cut off the port connection.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. Let's see that.
We saw this port connection and the other, and I will remove the
Yeah.
fog. But yeah, when he breaks that, it's only once something moves that adjusts border, but both of those connections got lost. So both of those are now going to end up in the red. Same kind of thing that happened down below.
Yeah. That's smart. I like it.
I mean, playing against Polaris, you're supposed to just break ice no matter what anyway.
And Yadakk took climbing. I mean, because I saw there were those kind of pivotal mountains blocking the Yadakk's area, but getting the climbing allowed Yadakk to again access that ice.
Yes. I mean, we did it just to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And there was also a mountain ruin that he had to pick up, so there was that. Okay, so he gets polar warfare, able to make sleds like Polaris's most powerful unit. Another explorer here, which obviously, again, we saw this earlier, its show is basically just things that they already saw, but I think they wanted to do it for the meeting stars. Again, they're prioritizing getting stars now versus having more stars later. So it's like a fair assessment because they probably are looking at the map control and recognizing that I am like tucked into the bottom corner and that they have like 65% of the map right now.
They do. They have a lot.
They have a lot. They have a lot of map, and I have not that much map. And we also are split. Like I am isolated from my allies, so they can't really back me up. So I can't even. We don't have like a tucked away player who can just macro like crazy and be kept safe by their allies. So
no, you're under threat. You're pressured, and you're all on your own in that south corner.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get a giant?
Mm-hmm. I get my first giant.
Yeah. Peace. Look at all that peace.
Oh yes. I think it was Aquarian that we. So we weren't. We know that we needed to get like strategy, free diving, and spearing. Those are like the next techs that we need in order, because so we see that there's a huge looming threat in like the Polaris mid game rush. But in this version, before the Path of the Ocean update, amphibians. Wait, is that what these are called? Amphibians?
Yeah, they're called amphibians. They're riders, but yeah.
Amphs and forks, tridents. Amphs and forks can still use roads. After the Path of the Ocean update, they can't, but here they can. So I prioritized getting, strategy, so that they could send
They could use your roads.
Yeah, so that they could send peace to me so we wouldn't zone. So, Badger and I, Aquarian and I would not zone each other around trying to get this last village. Right. And so that they would be able to use these roads to unsiege Yadakk.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because even if you can't get an embassy, you can use your allies' roads. And at that point, amphibians and other tridents could use roads. And then, like you said, in the south, you don't want a zone of control limit get in the other allies' way. Yeah. Polaris.
So we've got more freezing, more moving up, and they start to discover us. We get sieged already.
Yeah.
And from this point on, I don't think this base, Berez, ends up not sieged for a long time.
But you kind of expected that. You said you knew that Yadakk Magoon was going to get sieged by Polaris.
Yeah. We know it's coming, but it doesn't make it feel any better.
Yeah. It still hurts.
So Goon is able to unsiege this time. We're trying to be careful with our micro to make sure that we are not going to get everything frozen at once. We are breaking ice whenever we can, just trying to delay right now.
Okay, so you border expand. Are you going to get that whale? Was
We
that the
are,
idea? Or you
yes.
just wanted a better custom house spot?
We did it more for the custom houses. Like, we only have one whale there, and tech for Magoon costs 10 for the whale. So it would be a net 0 game. So he's not looking to pick that up specifically yet.
Yeah.
And here, Badger starts to reveal terrain around Magoon. We're just hoping that these amps can reveal terrain in time to be able to save him from Polaris's onslaught.
Yeah, because, I mean, well, once you get tridents, tridents can be really powerful.
Yes. For the duration of this stream, by the way, I am going to be calling them forks. I'm sorry, it is just my way.
No worries.
So this battle that's going on up here in the top, we've got Goon with 2 warriors and like 2 boats right now and 2 bases functionally against a 5, about to be 6 base Polaris, and the ice is starting to close in on us.
Oh,
Like,
it does not look good for Yadakk.
Polaris
Oh.
is not great at like advancing over land. But because they, their battle sleds and Gaami is the main units that they use, they can only move, 1 tile over land. And when a sled hits land, it can't even attack something. So it's not like a sled could
Right.
come onto this mountain and then slap something here. This base is
But-
kind of safe because it's surrounded by land, but this space at Summer, Magoon's north base, is very, very exposed.
And Polaris has 2 Gammies coming. Now, this looks very bad for Yadakk. This looks very bad for your team.
Yeah, we've got very little map as compared to our opponents.
Yeah.
They have many boats. I have few boats. They have many boats. So yeah, it's not looking ideal. So here I take whaling. I go for a border expand over here. Again, taking workshop because I don't trust explorers.
Where's your border expansion? Oh, it's coming. Here we
It's
go.
here. I can barely afford it with 1 star to spare. Pick up these 2 whales.
Yummy whales.
Yes,
That was
delicious.
so satisfying in those days when you do border growth and you pick up, 2 or even 3 whales. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
delicious whale.
That was the good stuff. So here again, Goon microwing very carefully and
And he
just building up his
unsieged?
custom houses.
He
can't.
didn't.
He
He's
didn't.
gonna lose it, or is the amp gonna help?
The amps are gonna come to the rescue, at least for now. They have to move that way specifically to reveal, and because they are allied, the amp can't go onto the base. So it can attack from off the base and then retreat a little bit farther to just be a little bit safer. So we're able
And
to
use
stay
the
out of
road.
range.
The
Yes.
roads are key there. Yeah.
Able to pick up food guy.
Yadakk and Aquarian synergy. That using their roads, that works really well.
Yeah, and he's also, now we're trying to get some of his units down here to reveal more fog around me because I am also likewise, I could also use some assistance from some riders that can use the water. It's just you can get very efficient trades, and we need really efficient trades because we only have like 30% of the map.
And look at that. Kiku's getting another city, but they don't have any custom houses yet, which I'm a little bit surprised. A common strategy at that time was to rush custom houses, and Dack's the only one who has them, right?
Yeah, I would have really thought that Astu in this corner, because he's completely safe, right? He can safely expand behind him. He can get all 6 of these bases easily. I feel that he could have gone for custom house a little bit earlier, but he was spending a lot on ships to try to pressure me because Lightning is going for just a very strong mid game. They are not at all considering the possibility that we could survive to the late game. So they're just going for a very strong mid game push to try to just kill us quickly because there's no reason to drag this game out, right? They've got like 65, 70% of the map.
No, wait. Did they get another explorer?
I have to.
Or was that from a ruin? Did they get another explorer? What did they do?
No, they got. They willingly took an explorer here. There's no
And
lighthouses.
this is 3 lighthouses. Lighthouses did not exist, so it's like that's not the reason why.
So it reveals the empty water around their base and absolutely nothing else. Yeah, it was a risk. It's not the kind of thing I would have done because my explorers will always do that, and it's just nice to see someone else's explorer do exactly what mine would have done. But yeah, they are very much looking to kill us now and not bother waiting until later. We actually left we left a specifically damaged warrior on this tile so that if a sled came in, it wouldn't be able to hit and then retreat here. It would have to kill if it hit. So
And
that was
stop.
that was another tiny micro thing. So we trapped this one so we can at least, because we're just trying to kill some of these sleds before there's too many of them to kill everything that sieges in one turn. Also, Polaris is now going for this middle base of Aquarions. Lightning is a huge cannibalism team.
Yeah, cannibalism. Yeah.
Massive cannibalism enjoyers.
Yeah, this is the second city that they're cannibalizing. They're
Yes.
letting their ally eat that city.
Yep. So first battleship is a GBS that I build.
Yes.
Because I need a little bit of bulk to hold out. I can't afford to make my second one, so I just leave it above.
Man, this game has so much nostalgia. I remember
know.
the GBSs. Oh.
So macroing very carefully. Doing
Is
whatever.
Magoon going to keep that? Using the amps to help on siege?
He's not going to do it, but yeah, Badger absolutely will. Our amphibians have got this covered.
That's the beauty of team games. You know, you get sieged, your ally can come save your behind.
Nope. So we do some special micro here to manage to get onto this ruin. And we keep all of our amps as far out of range as we can. We also get spearing and we get our first fork. I think. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, in the capital.
So I continue bleeding out units, but it's fine because my opponent is still not getting custom houses. And like Polaris is freaking huge. Like their bases are gigantic. They have 6 of them, about to be 7. Magoon has 3. 2 of those bases
but
are
Polaris
sieged.
hasn't gotten riding or roads. They're not making a break for the ice bank, right? Can we see their tech tree?
Yes. They have not bothered. So similar to the way that they have not gone for that Astu has not gone for custom houses, they are going for a very unit forward, very strong mid game push.
Yeah.
Like they are planning to kill us now while we, before the game really gets going, and like in their position that seems pretty reasonable cuz
But look at all that ice. I can only imagine if they went for ice bank, they could make a lot of income.
They could, but it would take because of how many bases they have, it would take 2 turns of income to get the bank up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're literally just dry pushing sleds on land because it's just the sleds are kind of bulky and we just don't have enough firepower to kill all of the units. I continue to do almost nothing in the south, but I'm doing the best I can here. We do very specific things like this, taking 1 boat shot here. We're microing very specifically just to try to squeeze every little bit of damage out of every unit.
And Yadakk still, even though he's getting sieged every turn, he's also unsieging. And like you said, with the custom houses, he's getting a little income.
He's contributing damage and his units aren't dying. So we are getting more reusability out of them. But the Gamis are moving very deep.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Polaris here in the south freezes, moves, and taps this unit so that something next turn can kill it and then move on to this base. This was originally Imo's base. Now it's Kaku's base.
Wait,
and
are they going to cannibalize? They're going to cannibalize a third city?
Mm-hmm. And look how deep these units are getting now. We have we're getting very close to freezing Magoon's main. Like Magoon is nearly dead here.
Yeah.
I take diplomacy and get to see some of people's capitals. And the reason I'm doing that because there's no embassies is because I want cloaks.
Ooh.
Because cloaks in the water in this version, the only unit that can freeze after moving is the Gaami. So if you put a cloak next to ice, like if I put a cloak on this tile and there wasn't a Gaami here, no sled or rider or archer or anything would be able to reveal it, even if they knew it was there. Even if it was surrounded by units here and there was a dinghy on this tile, they wouldn't have anything to remove its invisibility, so they wouldn't be able to kill it, and they wouldn't be able to prevent me from breaking ice the next turn. So cloaks are going to be one of the levers that we can use to push the ice back.
And again, no embassies. Just
No
I know
embassies.
people are gonna make an embassy. Nope, not allowed. Not in this game. Embassies are not allowed. But you can still use cloaks. Cloaks can be effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just trading hits.
Yeah. I mean, we're losing a lot of
Oh,
units.
they siege.
We're
Oh.
sieged by a defender here. Sled. We're down to 4 functional bases in the north and 4 functional bases in the south.
Oh. I really think this looks really bad for you guys.
It looks extremely bad.
Are
Like
you
I'm
unsieging
being
again?
being very objective about it. It looks extremely bad. We
Is it
unsiege one base, but we
one?
cannot reach the other because there are too many Gamis and sleds and giants and everything. There's too much stuff in the way. Too many
Lost.
boats.
They have so many cities.
They have so
They
many
just have
cities.
so many units.
We are very sieged. It's true.
You are so sieged.
So we lose that base. The giant gets frozen. They start slapping it with all of their
Are they going to do
sleds
the
and units.
cannibalism play? Let's see.
Here we go.
Oof.
There it is. And they now start damaging my GBS, which is not great either, because that's like one of my only remaining useful units. I wanted to unsiege this, but I don't have enough firepower to do it. I've got 24 stars. I can afford to make like 1 battleship and a couple other things. I'm trying to use my units as efficiently as I can. I move my cloak into the water. I'm just doing what damage I can, and I get another cloak. So Magoon is now losing 1 star per turn on this base because it's 1 in the red because we lost the connection to this. And he's double sieged. So 100% of his bases are currently sieged. So we're losing a lot of income here, but we finally break some ice here, clear out some of these units, and now that we have enough forks up north, it's not in as much danger. Like we even managed to take out, extra Gamis and just chipping away whatever units.
The forks killed the Gaami. That's great.
Yeah, interestingly, over here, we see an IMO peace monument.
Yes.
A killer monument from Cuckoo on the same tile. Yes, this is now a Polaris city with an IMO and a Cuckoo monument in it. And a Polaris monument in it.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that.
3 monuments from 3 different races on one city. And that's all 3 of the allies. They shared this base. And this is, again, the most pivotal base in this game.
That's so interesting. 3 different monuments, 3 different tribes. That city is changing hands.
Yep. So they get border growth to advance their ice specifically.
Yes.
And they start killing off the rest of my units in the water. So if the game looked like it was bad for us before, it looks worse now.
It looks worse.
I didn't say it was going to look better.
Oh,
I merely promised a game.
look at all that ice.
It's a lot of ice. So
This is again where I'm thinking like, oh, the ice bank would be really nice around now, but nope, they're not. They're just getting more sleds.
Too expensive, and the sleds are doing a lot. So in their defense, So here Magoon also gets strategy and then diplomacy so that he can make cloaks because
he got a cloak, right? Let's see.
Yeah.
Can you go? Let's zoom it. Yeah, there's a cloak in that Yadakk. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, we decided to go for cloaks here because I no longer will be able to use many. So he's going to have to break some ice. So he's going to need cloaks to break that ice. That's the main reason. We just need ways to break the ice to push this back. And I'll just advance to Polaris's turn. They get more units here. I think they're going to Gaami push this. Right, yeah, we sieged here, so they Gaami push and move to freeze. So we failed to grab this base. They see that I have a cloak here. They just start dry pushing the sleds onto land. Same thing that happened to Magoon.
Yeah.
And also, we stole the income from the city. So Cuckoo, with these 2 remaining cities, because the others all got cannibalized, is down to 0 stars per turn for this turn, and they have 1 star total. So they are effective. They are not really able to effectively engage, but they are providing a buffer, preventing us from doing any kind of attacking damage to this. But it's also kind of protecting us from Polaris's forces, because as long as we don't let Polaris capture these bases of their allies, as long as we prevent them from cannibalizing, we at least have a little bit of a choke point created. So they continue to start to defog around me, just so that they'll be able to unsiege me, the same way they've unsieged Magoon. If we can get forks everywhere in our bases, we can kind of halt the advance, at least somewhat.
Yeah, but they really made the choice to, again, cannibalize their Kiku in favor of their Polaris. Their Kiku is almost gone, but again, it's voluntarily.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're not able to do that much. Astu finally gets custom houses, and he goes up to 33 stars per turn.
Yep.
Polaris is at 38 stars per turn. So our opponents are at like 70 stars per turn altogether. They reveal my dinghy, kill it. I'm losing like all of my units, and they're revealing all of my base. My capital is being sieged right now.
Oh, look, you finally find that other village
I
down
finally
there in the
find the
south.
village on turn 18. I pop a giant to push the sled off to delay my death for another turn.
But it's just delaying the inevitable, huh?
I mean, I'm not into dying because I want to take the in-game elo at the end of this game. So I'm going to hold on as long as I humanly can. And I mean, that is just my way.
But Yadakk is still kicking. Like, Yadakk is not crumbled. They still have a battleship. They got a giant. And those forks are really doing the job.
The forks are really the backbone of what we're doing. Like, we're trying to sneak them around so they can unsiege my main next turn. And there's, oh my god, there's such a disaster coming up for us. I know this whole game looks like a disaster. But just wait.
And Aquarian must be getting pop capped soon. Like, can they keep making more forks?
No, we're starting to run out of space. That's true. They kill my giant without taking any damage because obviously they get frozen, and they veteran this sled on my capital. So now I have a veteran sled on the capital. I have almost nothing to work with in range of unsieging. I've got two of these. I've got two damaged forks and one ship that I can't quite afford to upgrade. But I do have a plan to unsiege this and delay for another turn. Because all I need to do is delay enough. Well, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for you or anything.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Here we go. So here's my turn, right? I've got 14 stars per turn and 0 stars to start with. So I don't have enough to upgrade any of these to a battleship. And I need to get a decent amount of firepower on here.
Right, because you need 15 stars. Back then, you needed 15 stars.
I got this unit, this pirate ship, up into here because this is the edge of Magoon's vision. So he was able to send me a peace treaty and get me up to 25. Still, I don't make a battleship because I can't quite afford to do that and do the other things I need to do. So I fire 2 shots at it. And in order to get this to die, I get riding roads and I make 2 roads down here.
Oh.
So this is going to enable this fork to go down, even though they don't have enough vision to do it yet, and hit this sled to unsiege, but a disaster happens instead. I also take that unit out so it stops zoning.
So you hadn't met Magoon yet?
I just did. He sent a peace treaty to me last turn. Yeah, on turn 19 was when we finally met my ally.
So this was the first time you were able to get the meeting stars, and that allowed you to build those roads?
Yeah. That's what gave me just what I needed to build the roads. I could have unsieged with like a battleship, but it probably would have gotten frozen immediately after, and I felt like I'd get more longevity out of the roads.
Yeah.
So in order to move this 12 amp into range of this to snipe it, because a 12 amp will just barely kill a veteran sled at 10 HP, it's going to have to go down, across, and then over to the side. But these 2 tiles are fogged, so they have to move their 6 amp here, hit something, and then move south to reveal that fog.
Right? So you have to hit and bounce, clear the fog, and then move the other fork. Oh, it's an amphibian, not a fork.
So what happens instead is he moves this way, chips this, moves that way, and can't reach this tile.
Oh.
And instead of moving this down, across, and up to at least be able to hit, they don't bother and instead snipe that unit and go to this base. Now, what happened was that we draw pretty detailed maps, but it wasn't the most detailed in this section because we'd redrawn it enough times and I left this blank. He had recalculated that a 12 fork can't kill a 10 sled, but he forgot that this 10 sled is a veteran 10 sled. So that means that it was at 50% health, so it has lower defense than a 10 sled that's at 66% health would have. So he thought that if he chipped that, it would survive with 1 HP, Because if it was not a veteran 10 sled and was just a regular 10 sled, it would have. So he thought that he couldn't unsiege at all. So he didn't bother. And I lose my capital.
Okay, so this is the moment where we need to put in a plug for the Poly Calculator. Poly Champions is brought to you by Poly Calculator. Poly Calculator for all your battle needs. Not sure whether your opponent will be able to kill you, whether you kill your opponent? Check the Poly Calculator and never question again. If he had used the Poly Calculator, he would have known that his fork could have killed that veteran sled at 10 hit points.
We use Poly Calculator all the time, but if you don't have your inputs right, it's obviously not going to spit out the right data.
That's true. Garbage in, garbage out. You got to put in the right data.
So here on T19.
Gosh. You're going to lose your capital.
Yes, but I still have 3 bases left. And we have a whole 30% of the map. We're doing just fine.
And is Aquarian going to get that village in the south?
Definitely not. No. They freeze, move in, and take the village immediately.
Oh, no. Polaris is going to get another city.
Yes, they're freezing on my last 2 cities. I have a city frozen, a city sieged. Polaris has eaten the entire map.
Yes.
I don't quite lose my last boat, but it does go down to 4 HP, so it's effectively useless. I kill the one thing that I'm able to, and ship a Gaami, and just try to keep my my GBS in the east alive. Like, it was at this point that this error happened and I lost my capital that I think we all started thinking about maybe it's time to resign, but I'm very stubborn and don't like to, you know, give up, because a 1% chance of winning is still better than 0% chance. And a lot of people might evaluate this position as having a 0% chance, but we do have some things going for us, which is that we have forks, and those can get really, really good efficiency.
Did somebody get philosophy?
Yeah, so Asu's feeling like super, super confident.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they've got 75% of the map.
Yeah. All right.
So here he gets whaling first. And takes a whale, and then gets philosophy, and then gets hunting. And he could have gotten, you know, philosophy first, and then whaling, taken the whale, and then hunting, but he didn't even bother to do that in an efficient way because, again, they have gauged that this game is over.
Yeah, they're feeling very confident. They don't need to calculate and save those few stars. They don't mind.
Yeah, so because Polaris is going to start to maybe lose some of the bases, they start eating Polaris's base. So now Astu, the human tribe, is going to start washing forward and eating Polaris's bases because Polaris won't be able to stop the cloaks from advancing and breaking the ice.
Oh.
So here, at this point in the game, right? Do I lose this base yet? No, not yet.
So they decide that since the cloaks are coming to break the ice and Polaris can't keep the ice, that they're going to turn those cities over to IMO. There's going to be even more cannibalism.
They will have eaten more bases than we will have had by the time this game is over.
Oh my god.
On the bright side, we are able to take this like one base here, kind of. I think
you did that with Dagger, it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. Of all the ways to capture the base in the middle.
Polaris, I saw they got ice archers, which they can be very effective.
Oh, yeah. One ice archer hits a battleship, and the battleship is frozen and effectively useless. Right. Polaris also now has the south base and the north base and a straight line of ice dividing the map. So everything that we have left is now clustered onto one hemisphere of the map, with the exception of my base here that is doing nothing, because it's very, very surrounded. All I'm trying to do is prevent IMO from capturing it and trying to get it turned over to Polaris at least, so then they'll have to re-eat it later.
Oh my gosh. But I see Yadakk's making a move up in the north.
We also make a knight up here, and we have rotated. We're going to try to rotate some of our forks around to up there also.
A knight could be really great. Can a knight kill a sled? I should look in Poly Calculator.
I'll save you the trouble. It can't. It can't quite one-shot. It does about 10 damage. We continue to send forks around. This Gaami is going to capture my second base. This is my C2. lose another base. They freeze another few of our things. I'll skip forward in Polaris's timeline because we know that they kind of just kill all of our things.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you turn this around?
Whoa, spoilers. I didn't say we turned it around, but we do.
Yeah, but the cloaks, it's interesting. Those cloak boats are really working to clear out the ice.
The dinghies are working their way in, and the opponent can't see them at all, so they can't actually prevent them without putting a Gaami in range of the forks that we have.
So it's like the dinghy cloak boats in the front, the forks in the back. So the dinghies clear out the ice, and the forks come in and hit.
Here I finally lose my last base. And I'd say...
But you're not dead yet. You have one city, right?
I have one city left, which is all I need. Probably. Maybe. In some games. I'm going to pause here at turn 23 and just take a quick overview of the map. So, here on my allied side, this base is lost. I'm down to one base. Aquarian has 4. And Yadakk has 3. This base that he stole from Cuckoo and these 2. So altogether, we have 8 bases right now. Our opponents have 1, 2, 3... They have 19 bases. So it is 8 base to 19. And it is at this point that we start to turn the game around. So we're going to have to wrap this up, right? Because Spark, you have a thing to go to.
To be continued, okay.
And we are going to continue this, look for part 2.
Yeah, we'll
as
link
much as
to
we've been building this up to be dire as hell for a very long time, we come back and we turn this around. And I'm going to show you how. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Part 2 of this 3v3 game will be published in 3 days. So be sure to like and subscribe. Join our Discord. Play a 2v2 or a 3v3 with us. A link to the Discord server is in the description. Take care. See you on the next one.